Cleave the way. Company Commander Nirvon gathers a group of treasure hunters to honor fallen comrade Vaunt in the way he'd most appreciate. You all find yourselves, you and there's a number of other company members as well, you are all in the grand, destroyed dining room of Abelia Prem's manor. There are tables and chairs smashed and tossed all over the place. There is a large amount of cobwebs everywhere, really large, giant, thick cobwebs. Asbel, you were here. You know the deal. Everyone knows what happened here. This was where the confrontation with our eight-legged lady took place, and that makes it a place of significance and power to Company Commander Nirvon. He likes to gather people for his little nightly, or not nightly, but his nighttime escapades away from the watching eyes of the other company commanders. There is a circle of salt and iron shavings, a very big circle of salt and iron shavings in the center of the dining room. And everyone is standing outside of that circle, including Company Commander Nirvon. He says, "We are here to celebrate the life of our fallen comrade Vaunt. I myself was there when Vaunt blinked out of existence, never to return. We don't know what happened to him. We can only assume the worst. And so we remember him. Our fallen colleague liked to consort with demons, and so we honor him now with speech and acts of blasphemy. One by one, please step into the circle and speak blasphemies, perform blasphemies in honor of Vaunt's memory." Out of character, for showing up here, you all get to divide up Vaunt's hoard, what's remaining of it. I will dole that out to you after you speak or perform your blasphemies in the circle. Whoever wants to go first, please do. I see thinking looks.
Just wasn't prepared to speak blasphemies off the cuff. But Rias will step into the circle. There is one part of my story that I have not told yet. My mother did serve as royal astrologer. But after my curse, my sickness, it was assumed that the line of Ilsmat was tainted with demonic blood, that this what happened to me, because it is not of the serpentine gods, because it is from tiger blood, that my mother must have consorted with demons, specifically the tiger demons that wander the deserts outside of Nagane. My existence is blasphemy to Nagane. My family is blasphemy to Nagane. Ilsmat is seen as blasphemy in Nagane. And my stripes, every breath, every step I take is considered unholy to them. Who can match me in that regard?
Thorin steps up, and he's a tall, gaunt sort of fellow, very pale, very, very pale. Doesn't seem to have any body hair, at least not any visible. He has his scalp and his face are designed with these sort of intricate scars. And he's wearing this sort of leather vest, gambeson. But the most sort of luxe thing about him are his gauntlets, which are these sort of bright red leather, and they're covered in these golden sewing needles. And uh, they come to these sort of clawed tips, these golden finger armor that he wears. And he saunters into the circle. He just sort of goes, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you about heresy. I'll tell you about blasphemy. You see, there was this cult, cult of Darwan, it was called, wiped out of existence. Except for those few of us who have seen the interest, the intrigue in its ways, the things that we've done to achieve our ends. Well, they wouldn't be things that would be repeated in polite company. But thankfully, none of you are polite company. Take, for instance, there was an orphanage teeming with verminous youth. And will, as you know, and he gestures to Rias, someone who has come, or at least knows of the Azure archives, knows of the sort of sacrifice that is required to Darawan. Well, it's prime hunting ground. And so myself and several others, devotees, we had a game. Several games, in fact. And well, we got our fill that evening in his honor, its honor, really. What was once a teeming, boisterous, loud little orphanage fell silent, holy silence, so the silence of devotion. And I must say, there's nothing quite like the taste of orphans.
Asbel steps into the circle and regards the two who have already walked in. And she looks around at these shavings of iron and the dusting of salt that surround her and thinks about how this is a place of power and how she might honor her friend Vaunt. And she takes a breath and she calls out into whatever space may be hereafter and calls to the imp Togmalar, bound companion of Vaunt, and will attempt to try and summon it here into the circle.
Nice. I like it. You don't need to make a die roll, but I just like the idea of you. Maybe you do get the demon's attention. What does that look like?
I think we see just like this shade sort of in the shape of Togmalar start to coalesce in the circle. And she goes, to the assembled here, what are demons known for but what they do? And what they do but the things that they dream? And she would try to start using her ritual fantasy to encourage a demon to maybe dream bigger, to grow to greater acts of blasphemy.
Fantastic. For committing or speaking acts of blasphemy in honor of Vaunt, your regard will be increased, at least within Nirvon's branch of the company. You all get to have, you get out of character to split up Vaunt's remaining hoard. It's 2 gold each. You can do whatever you want with it, but you have to spend it or stash it before you go on another delve. After more people speak or do whatever they're going to do, Nirvon says, "And now, the thing Vaunt loved most in this world is the thing that ultimately obliterated him. The cleaving. For tonight's cleaving, I have an exceptional prize." And he pulls out like a leather case, like a roll of tools in like a leather case. A roll of elixirs, potions, and decoctions brewed by myself, so you know they are of exceptional quality. One to heal your wounds, one to purge your body of venoms and toxins, one that will allow you to breathe underwater, one that will give you exceptional luck, and another that will allow you to project your consciousness. What a wonderful prize, we say to ourselves. Hubbub, hubbub. But who will step into the circle to claim it? And so if you step into the circle, you will be doing the cleaving. It is a contest roll. The rules of the fictional rules are you all kneel in a rough circle facing each other, or whoever's participating. You perform your ritual, and you lose if you are knocked unconscious, killed, cry uncle, or are pushed out of the circle. And the last one standing is the winner. That is the stakes of the contest roll. You win the prize. If you also die during the contest roll while winning, which is possible, because you might be the last one, the very last one standing before you're gone, the potions will be given over to the vault. So that is what is at stake. Who is participating in the contest roll? You don't have to.
Rhea steps into the ring.
Asbel will.
Asbel steps in. Soren?
Thorn kind of rakes the tips of his claws against the glass of the potions. And he'll look at the commander and say, "One receives all of these, then."
All five.
Very well, then. And yeah, he'll stand in.
Now, this is particularly interesting to cleaving fanatics because Rias was there when Vaunt won the last cleaving. Rias actually lost the cleaving, technically speaking, and so this is a chance for redemption. The group begins their chant. Salt and iron bar the way, salt and iron show the way. Bar the night, show the day, salt and iron cleave the way. First, please describe what it looks like as you lay out your tools for the ritual.
For Soren, it's relatively simple. As he stands there, hearing the chant, he sort of has this sort of cocky smirk on his face, and he's just taking out. He's sort of like raking the tips of his armor or his claws against the various needles on his gauntlet until he finds the right one, and he plucks it out, and he just sort of holds it there, sort of between his finger and his thumb.
Asbel takes her staff of catalpa wood and lays it on the ground in front of her and pulls out a small pouch of solid perfume that she begins to carefully kind of anoint the wood of the staff.
Rias undoes his upper clothing and takes off his white tiger pelt and assumes the kneeling position and begins muttering his name mantra to himself and sort of wraps that tiger pelt around his shoulders like a cloak.
Let's do our magic. So, I need to very quickly find the text of the contest roll. I'm certain I have it somewhere handy, but probably I don't. Pull up my PDF. Absolutely riveting YouTube video as ever. Okay. The contest roll. We know what's at stake. Now we gather dice. You will take one light die if the contest is something you are skilled at because of your occupation or background, or that is made somehow easier due to a piece of equipment you have. You only get one light die here. What does everyone have?
Transformation.
She's going to be using her staff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be using my sewing kit.
Ah, interesting. You will take one light die for each mark of ruin you have. Rias?
3 ruin, so it puts me to 4.
4 light. Asbo?
Same as Rias. 3 ruin, 4 light die.
4 light. Soren?
Same as the others.
We all have 4 light currently. You take 1 dark die if the contest itself is inherently deadly or dangerous. It is. Everyone is at 4-1. And then you will take as many additional dark dice as you wish to risk. I will tell you that you're trying to get 6s. Whoever gets the most 6s is the winner of the contest. If there's a tie, we go to 5s, 4s, etc. However, if any of the dark dice rolls a 1, you also mark 1 ruin for each one that does. So, we're going to go to the die roller. You have a minimum 4 light, 1 dark, and as many extra dark as you wish. Go ahead and think about it for a moment as needed, and then, but don't hit roll yet, but just enter the number of dice into the die roller. I see a lot of hard thinking going on here. What can you risk? Got a thumbs up. Thumbs up all around. Go ahead and hit roll. All right. Asbel risked, or has a total of 6 dark dice. Rias has a total of 3 dark dice. Soren has 4 dark dice. In terms of 6s, there are. Will you each have 1 6? I will note that Asbel also got 2 1s on the dark dice, and Rias and Soren got 1 each. So, Asbel, your ruin is going up by 2, and Rias and Soren, your ruin is going up by 1. We have a tie on the 6s. Let's take a look at 5s. Asbel wins with 3 5s. Rias had 2 5s, and then Soren had no 5s. Asbel, you are the winner of the contest. Rias and Soren, you will get to narrate how your ruin goes up, but Asbel, you will get to narrate what your magic looks like and how you win. So, we'll start with Asbel. Asbel, go ahead and show how your ritual works, what you're doing, and how it ultimately causes you to win.
We all start in this kneeling position in the circle, and I don't know if the 2 others stand or what they do, but Asbel will stay kneeling the entire time, and she has both hands on her stave on the ground. And that kind of oily sheen from the perfume starts to steam, and it lets off this light blue vapor that starts to swirl around her and begin to swirl around the circle, even reaching out, and this smell of perfume fills the space. And everyone here in the room feels the need to run away from the source of the smell as they become overcome with her ritual fantasy, as there is something that is harrying them from this direction. And that's how she is pushing the other two out of the circle.
Rias, describe your part of the scene and what ultimately causes you to flee.
Oh, said it's like an azure smoke or a blue smoke.
Yeah, like a light blue,
Sure.
maybe like
Yeah.
a cornflower kind of.
So Rias begins to transform. We've seen him take this form now in combat a few times. Um, his face becomes tigerish. His upper body mass increases significantly, and even though he starts out kneeling, um, he does rise to his feet to sort of present a menacing and threatening mien to the others. Nothing particularly violent and or ruinous, but I think there is this level of blasphemy that is sort of permeating the space. And as Rias kind of stands in his little tripartite or partition of the circle and begins roaring at Asbel, what we see is that his fingers are reverse jointed, his hands are backwards. Um, which in many cultures would signify something more like a rakshasa, um, specifically a tiger shaped demon. And we see Rias, roaring at Asbel, hoping to intimidate them out of the ring. But when this blue smoke enters his lungs and his nostrils, his eyes sort of begin to dilate, and he gets calmer and calmer and calmer until he finally looks down at his hands and sees that the fingers are bending in the wrong direction. Um, and he sort of disgusted and horrified at himself. He brings these hands up and covers his face and starts shaking his head and almost sort of like trips and stumbles and falls backwards outside of the ring. As for the ruin increase, I think it might either be some of this demonic taint, might just be.
Yeah, I
Um,
think just note a condition connected to that so you know how to go get it healed. So, Soren, give us your part.
Soren is indeed kneeling as Will is intoning the spell, and he takes out the golden needle and he looks to the others, and uh, he flips open his wrist, sort of revealing the skin, and he places his fingertips there, trying to feel the point at which this ritual can take purchase. And he plunges the tip of the needle into the skin, and he focuses on it, trying to enact that numb ritual that he is known for, trying to find the spot that will cause the others to become too relaxed to the point where they will be at his mercy and be able to be pushed out of the ring. But I think as he's doing that, he's like trying to find the right spot, sort of moving the needle around. And as he's trying to focus, that cornflower blue smoke just starts to waft around him. And the scent of it is so pungent and so disgusting. The magic is gross. Takes a he tries his best to hold back, but there's a little bit of a column of it that goes up his nose, and he yanks the needle out of his wrist and just sort of steps out of the ring in disgust. And he'll walk behind Asbel, just sort of like trying to wave the fumes away from his face. And as he's leaving the tent, he'll put his hand on Rias's shoulder and say, "If you need some help with that, you come see me. I'll be outside." He's holding his mouth and he gets out of the tent.
Oh, you're in a big dining room for what it's worth, but yeah.
Oh, dining
Uh,
room, yeah.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Asbel. I'll give you the details of your potions when we get back to camp. As for everybody else, see you back at camp.